President Tim, Rick Malini, all distinguished guests who are here, and students. I think it is really a humbling experience for me and my daughter to be here. The journey to come here was long, but I think the warmth, the reception, the hospitality that we have received from this city is overwhelming. And I have to say, we are truly humbled. I want to say I don't believe there are any coincidences in life. When Khalil made the proposal that we come here, and I realized the good work that is being done in the city, I want to repeat, like I said yesterday, it was a no-brainer for me to be here with my daughter. I think what drives me as Nelson Mandela's daughter is that my dad sacrificed. We didn't have a father. I grew up angry and bitter. I did not understand why he chose politics over us. It was only not in my old age, but in my mature years, that I could appreciate what my father sacrificed for. Because South Africa wouldn't be here where it is today, a land that is free, but I have no doubt, I'm not going to sit here, but a land still filled with a lot of challenges. But he has served as a beacon of light, not just to us South Africans, but to the world, that if you're determined and you set your mind to fight injustice in South Africa, you cannot ignore injustice anywhere in the world. But my father and his colleagues were influenced by the works of other leaders who fought for freedom, like Martin Luther King, like JFK, like Gandhi. And he didn't do it alone. He did it with other people. So for me, I've come to realize we cannot walk the path to creating better families, better communities, neighborhood societies alone. We've got to have people of like minds to hold hands, to work together. And my message for me is simple. If we want social justice in our societies, in our communities, in our countries, we have to deal with the issue of how we address the iniquities in society. We can't glance over those issues. And I think for me, I've come to realize also that political freedom, unaccompanied by socio-economic freedom, is a hollow dream. And I talk about this from experience of South Africa. And when I look around the world, that the inequities between rich and poor are increasing, they are not actually decreasing. We cannot afford to live in a world where we have the very rich and the gap between the poor. Yes, education is a great equalizer, but there's an article in the Atlantic magazine now that shows that education alone cannot be a great equalizer if we don't deal with the iniquities in society. And so for me, my drive has been, how do we actually create wealth? Wealth that will benefit a large part of society, getting people out of poor. I don't want to talk about poverty alleviation anymore. It's about how do we create wealth for people to get out of poverty, because that's what it takes. So the House of Mandela, creating House of Mandela for me is a passion about how to teach people entrepreneurial skills. So House of Mandela is actually about changing the paradigm about Africa being a dark continent. Africa has, at least I believe, more than 95% of the world's resources, but we remain poor. We are able to mine with foreign companies, multinationals, our resources, but they're sent in Europe and come as finished goods. House of Mandela is changing that paradigm. We are saying South Africa owns the rich minerals that come out of the womb of the South African soil, and we can manufacture them into precious goods that we send them to Europe as finished goods. So we own a mint, like the SAA Mint, where we can actually make gold coins, silver coins. We make jewelry, we make cufflinks, we manufacture a whole lot of things, because I firmly believe that manufacturing is the backbone of any society. And if we teach our people skills, we will be able to help them to create wealth in their own society. But the other thing that I am very passionate about is the whole issue of agriculture, of food security. I've heard the word talk about urban food deserts in this country. But for me, because South Africa is much more of an agricultural economy. My father came from peasant stock, and I believe that land, we need to use the land actually to change the situation of our people, especially in the rural areas. So through food security, we are hoping to teach local farmers to be commercial farmers, that they don't just produce for subsistence, but they can produce enough to take to the market and be able to feed themselves. So one of the things that people don't know about my father is that my father, besides being a politician and a statesman, was an ardent farmer. He farmed, he grew vegetables, he had cows, he had chicken, he had pigs, and he was able to supply fruits and vegetables to the local community. And one of the things that he has emphasized in his will is that the farming activities should continue in his farm. So as a daughter, I'm continuing that legacy to say farming is the thing that House of Mandela will actually do for itself to continue the legacy of Nelson Mandela. Because my dad, during his life as president, gave a third of his salary to build schools, to build educational institutions in South Africa. And I think for me, we are turning our farm, our home, into a teaching farm, where people will come from locally to learn how to grow a better potato, how to create seeds for themselves, how to actually breed the right chickens, how to breed cattle and sell them at the right time, because this is knowledge that they don't have. They keep their cattle until they are useless and they can't sell them on the market. So we want to change the way people do things. They must learn about the new technologies that are in agro-farming, because that's the future now. But unless we can feed our people, our children, and teach them the new skills to be able to compete commercially, we will not get them out of poverty. And for me, addressing the issues of socio-economic justice and equity in society, it is about teaching people how to create wealth. If we cannot create wealth, if we don't have the money we can't haul our people out of poverty. And that's why I admire so much what President Tim is doing in this city. Because he was educated in this university, he went and worked for big corporates outside, but he had a passion to always come here and give back and give service back to this community. His major focus is students. His second focus is that the university must uplift the community in which it exists. That is creating wealth. That is uplifting people out of poverty. And these are the lessons that we need to learn. When I talked about a unity of purpose and that we have to learn together, for me, I'm talking that we come here as Nelson Mandela's children to share the values of Nelson Mandela. But we also come here to learn about the good things that the city is doing that we can take back to South Africa. Because for me, that is important. Crossing bridges, working together, not being afraid to say, I don't know. I'm not a farmer, but I am determined that I will draw experts for anywhere, from colleges in South Africa, from abroad, to help us to create a vibrant farming community in Kunu, where we come from. So, for me, being here is a wonderful way to say to my father, thank you very much. But also to say to you all, because we know South Africa would not have been free of apartheid if we did not get the support of people around the globe. It is their spirit, that effort of caring about each other that have led South Africa to be rid of South Africa, of apartheid. And so today, when we see the ugliness, the dark side, the negativity mushroom, we have to refuse to accept it and say, no, we are not going to accept this. We are not going to accept to listen to negative news all the time. And we say we demand good news. We need really to demand that we be bombarded by good stories. As House of Mandela, we've also set up what we call Mandela Media. And our intention is to capture good stories. So, Halim, Press, President, I'm challenging that we want to tell the good stories that are happening here in this city. I know Jacksonville, I did not know about Jacksonville before I came here. I only know about Miami. But I've been pleasantly surprised about this hidden jewel that is Jacksonville. And we need to talk about what's happening here. We need to talk about the good work, the good leaders that are mushrooming here. Because those are the stories that we need today. If we don't talk about the good work and let negativity, the differences divide us, then I am afraid we are creating a world which our children will find difficult to live in. And my challenge to policymakers is that policy is very, very important. But we do not need laws that will sit on the shelf and gather dust. What we need to teach our leaders at local, at provincial, at national level is how to implement those policies so that they benefit society and create a better future and better environment for people. Yes, we can never, ever legislate what goes into the heart of people. But if we create environment for good, for compassion, for empathy to flourish, people will follow. That's the history that we come from. The founding fathers of this country set up this country to be a country of social justice, to be a country of compassion and caring. That's why the world has so loved and admired America. But we are beginning to ask questions. What has happened somewhere in the road? What has happened with this beautiful experiment that is America? And so I'm saying to everyone who is here, we need to stand up for what is right, for what is good. We don't need to choose sides. And I think America is a country that we know that has a big cut. After the Second World War, it was America who came with the Marshall Plan to save Germany. America has contributed to many countries. I stand here today with a doctorate because it was American taxpayers' money that educated me through the Fulbright Scholarship, and I'm grateful for that. My exposure here taught me to have a voice, to have opinions, to speak up, to challenge even my father at times. But it doesn't mean, as my daughter said yesterday, that when we disagree, we are not my enemy. We've got to allow, as President Tim Brooke has said, dialogue, different ideas, because that's how we grow. We've got to celebrate diversity of cultures, of ethnic groups. America is a land of immigrants, whether you like it or not. And it's not going to stop now. And actually, the world has become cosmopolitan. Even in South Africa, we have lots of nationalities. It's not something that you can stop. And we have no choice to embrace each other. And I think if we learn to touch the heart of another person, then we will understand them better and we'll create better communities. I already have adopted a mother here, like Khalil. And I'm grateful to you for believing in Khalil, my young brother. And I think there are wonderful stories in this city. And I want to say I am going to South Africa better, a better person, a much more exposed person for having set my footprint in Jacksonville. Thank you very much.